Hello, good morning. It is Saturday, January 14th, 2023 at 6 a.m. in the morning. And this is once again programming in the morning. I don't know how long I'm going to keep this up, honestly. I tend to jump right into something really quickly and I do it, and then I burn out, just crash and burn really quickly. So I can promise you, it's not going to continue to be 6 days a week. I will be surprised if in a month I'm doing it once a week, maybe, because eh, this is a little bit easier at least because sitting at a computer in the dark morning and programming or doing something is generally what I do every day. That is how I wake up. So, kind of incorporating at least maybe a half hour stream into that is pretty easy to do because it's a habit that it's a habit. So I will do this so I'll sit in front of a computer every day, and if it's just a matter of turning on a camera and talking for a little bit, well, yeah, I can maybe do that, but I don't know about every day. That's a lot. So yesterday, if you tuned in, you probably saw me crying a little bit, or on the verge of crying because I couldn't find icons. I couldn't get simple things to work. I was having problems, and it turned out that it was not a virus on my computer. Well, you could kind of consider it a virus. It turned out that I had a virus, and the virus was from Microsoft's antivirus software, Microsoft Defender. And you can see here there's an article about Microsoft Defender ASR rules, strip icons, app shortcuts from taskbar and menu. So if you recall, I had to browse to a folder in order to load up Visual Studio. And I couldn't find, I couldn't find anything. Even this morning, the problem persists. Well, I shouldn't say the problem persists. I don't know if the problem persists. I still can't find my taskbar icons or my start menu icons, but it could be that the problem is fixed, but that those icons are already removed and, well, they're not coming back. And it could be fixed in the sense that they won't get removed again, which is great. Thanks. Wow, that's perfect. So I gotta remember to pin things to the desktop or to the start menu or create shortcuts so that I can easily find them. Because here, the program that I use to stream, OBS, I had to browse into the folder to find it. So it was quite ridiculous. Oh, I just realized I'm talking with the microphone behind the computer. Yeah, this stream's also getting off to a great start. So you probably didn't hear much for the past maybe 2 minutes. Just in case you didn't, as I was saying, it was this little Defender attack here that is what the issues I was seeing yesterday, where Microsoft Defender had decided to crap the bed on Friday the 13th. Apparently it was really bad. Microsoft Defender had decided that in some scenarios on some machines, it had decided that Microsoft Office was a virus, and so it uninstalled the Microsoft Office on thousands of machines. Apparently, you can see here, techies are reporting that Microsoft Defender for endpoint attack surface reduction rules have gone haywire and are removing icons and application shortcuts from the taskbar and menu. The problem was first noted today, Friday the 13th. I noticed it. Some said they are experiencing it on both Windows 10 and Windows 11. And for the record, I am on Windows 10. One techie said that I noticed it at around 8:45 UTC. So that's UTC. That's about, we are 5 hours behind UTC. So it would be 3:45 a.m. my time. So definitely by the time I got up and started broadcasting at around 5:45, that the problem had definitely already existed. ASR is designed to make the PC safer by blocking macros, but the cleanup is certainly more dramatic than expected. It just happened. We don't know what caused it. We suspect it was a KB, a patch from Tuesday that went wrong, but I've spoken to plenty others this morning, and we think it's definitely related to the ASR rules. I will say that I found on Twitter, I found somebody post a fix, so to speak, where you just you go into Microsoft Defender and you remove your definitions, which I guess forces Defender to load the latest definitions from, I'm guessing, some central server. And then I guess the thought there was that Microsoft had already defined what they had pushed as bad, so that if you removed the definitions and then it went to go find the latest definition, that you would be okay. Because people were saying that, you could add a shortcut to the taskbar, to the start menu, and after a couple of minutes, it would just go away again. So it was really bad. It was really annoying. Let's see what we can find. I want to see about other articles. I probably should have done this beforehand just to kind of prepare. But yeah, you can see there's plenty of articles here. Let's just take a look at some of these. That's the one I'm already looking at. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint ASR rule blamed for deleting desktop taskbar and start menu shortcuts. So this is all pretty much the same thing we just read. Again, the issue seemed to be that it was Microsoft Defender that was just deleting things. Now, there were other problems I was seeing as well. Like, there was other things going on. Like, so after I ended the stream, I tried to see if my work was affected. And I went and I was unable to compile for a job that I'm working on. And because it had deleted some of the SDK files. So the SDK, Software Development Kit, so you have an SDK for certain things, like in what you mostly use is not mostly, but you often will use an SDK for the operating system. And that means you want to write programs that run on an operating system. So the people who write the operating system, typically they will write an SDK, a software development kit. And it's basically just a set of libraries and functions and helper things where if you're writing something for that operating system, you can use this library to make your life a little bit easier as the programmer writing something for that operating system. However, it seems that Microsoft Defender had decided that parts of the SDK were now a virus and had decided to remove them. So when you start removing parts of the SDK and you are writing a program that uses the SDK, well, suddenly you can't get you can probably get your program to work, maybe, but you can't compile your program. And remember we talked yesterday that compiling is taking the source code and turning it into an executable program. In order to do that, in order to compile a program, you need all the parts, all the source code parts, and the SDK is part of the source code. So, the SDK is you could think of it kind of as like the published parts of the source code for an operating system. I know some operating systems release all the source code, like Linux, but Windows is closed source. But they do release parts of the source code because you need it as a programmer. But when those parts get deleted, suddenly you can't compile your program, and now you can't do anything. I was able to fix that by reverting the definitions, as I mentioned earlier, and then reinstalling the SDK. It was a mess. It was a mess. Microsoft has addressed a false positive trigger by a buggy Microsoft Defender ASR rule that would delete application shortcuts from the desktop. The issue affected app shortcuts across managed devices after the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint attack surface reduction rule was triggered erroneously. Now, I think there's more to this, because this talks just about start menu, taskbar shortcuts, and existing shortcuts on the desktop. But as I mentioned, parts of the SDK were maybe they weren't deleted, but they were corrupted. Parts of the SDK were the only way I could get it to work was to reinstall the SDK, and that problem only started happening after this. So I think there's more to the story here. Malware can abuse this capability, such as calling Windows Win32 APIs to launch malicious shellcode without writing anything to disk, Microsoft explains. Okay, so that's probably what it is. So probably what happened was Microsoft Defender was removing things that were calling Microsoft Office macro code, Win32 imports from Office macro code. So maybe in the SDK, basically what it boils down to, at least what it sounds like to me, is that there's certain functions in programs. Programs are filled with functions, right? And so what happened probably is there were certain programs that were calling certain functions that these ASRs didn't like. It was like, oh wait, this program calls this function, which is an Office macro code, but this program is calling this function, and that no program should be calling that function. So let's remove that program. So what probably happened was Microsoft Defender looked through the SDK, saw that the SDK was calling these functions, and was like, whoa, no, hey, that's something that's calling into these functions. We shouldn't be doing that. That program shouldn't be doing that. Let me delete it. When actually it was probably perfectly okay for the program to be doing that. Most organizations don't rely on the ability to call Win32 APIs in their day-to-day functioning, even if they use macros in other ways. That might be true, but when you are a developer, like myself, and you're a developer who works on Windows, like myself sometimes, yes, you will be calling into the Win32 API. While normally this would help reduce the attack surface, threat actors could use to compromise devices protected by Microsoft Defender antivirus. A bad Defender signature caused ASR rule blah 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 to misbehave and trigger against users' app shortcuts, falsely tagging them as malicious. So that's what happened. It sounds like this rule was looking for things calling into the Windows 32 API, specifically, it looks like imports from Office macro code, not sure what that is. And then anything that did that, it said, oh, that's malicious code, and wiped it off. So that explains what happened yesterday. It was actually a big thing in the tech space yesterday. I have a friend who works for Microsoft. I texted him to see if he had heard about it or what was going on with him. He said that he personally wasn't dealing with it, but that a lot of his colleagues were having a very bad day, which I believe, because if you are a system administrator and you are the administrator of 200-300 endpoints on your network, and when you say endpoint, that just means a computer. 200 or 300 people on your network using a computer, 200 or 300 computers on your network, and each of them has Microsoft Office installed, and then suddenly, and everybody's in Excel spreadsheets all day, everybody's in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint all day, and then suddenly that gets deleted, and you're responsible for what goes on those computers and what comes off of those computers. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to have a bad day. Luckily, I am only responsible for what goes on into and off of my computer. So my day was not nearly as bad as others. So I like I said, there was a fix. I pushed the fix for both of my both my Windows computers, and the fix, it worked. It seemed like I was able to do work stuff again, and I was able to move on with my life. But honestly, it just kind of reinforced the idea that I need to bring my Mac up here. And actually, I thought about doing it last night because my setup here is I have two monitors. I have the monitor that I am broadcasting that you can see on the stream, and then I have another monitor to my right where I can chat with people without it being broadcast to the internet. And I thought, I could do that with my Mac. There's no reason I can't have the same exact keyboard, the same exact microphone, the same exact mouse, the same exact speakers, and the same exact monitors with my Mac instead of this Windows machine. And I complain about this Windows machine all the time. But then I start having these weird thoughts. I start thinking like, well, then if I do that, then I'm never going to use the Windows machine. Like literally, if I put the Mac in here, I'm probably never going to use this Windows machine. And then what happens? I literally start to feel empathy for the Windows machine. Like nobody loves it. Like nobody wants to use it. And I start to feel bad for it. And this is a problem I have because I have another Windows machine. I have a third Windows machine, a Windows 11 machine that I've turned on maybe twice. And it's brand new. It's like 3 months old. I've turned it on twice. Actually, I have a fourth Windows machine because I had to buy a laptop in Iceland, and I haven't used it since I got back from Iceland. Actually, my wife was asking me if she could use it, so I'll probably give it to her. But like I feel guilty because I have all these computers that just don't get used, and then I start to feel bad for them. Like, oh, like maybe they probably feel lonely or rejected, like nobody loves them. This is literally this is really what goes on in my head. Anyway, enough talk. So yeah, Microsoft Defender, the ASRs, I want to say ASR rules, but that's kind of redundant. That's like ATM machine, where, the M is the machine, ATM machine. Yeah, ASR rules. I mean, I guess it's ASR. Yeah, the attack. Oh, no. It is not. It's attack surface reduction. So it is attack surface reduction rules. So the ASR rules is a way to put it. So it's the ASR rules that caused a bunch of problems yesterday. I still haven't recovered my shortcuts, but that's okay because we don't need them. I mean, we do. They're nice to have, but they're not required to to work. So let's go ahead and, speaking of the shortcuts, let's go ahead and see if we can find a shortcut for Visual Studio 2022. I did the same thing yesterday. Oh, nope. All right, we'll go in here. It should be called DevInven right there. It's going to take a minute. Once it appears down in the store, there we go. I am going to pin to the taskbar. I'm going to pin everything. I pinned OBS to the taskbar. Can I move it over? Pin that. I'm going to... Okay, Visual Studio Code is already pinned to the taskbar. I'm scared to close things. Okay, terminals pinned to the taskbar. Like it removes Chrome. I'm gonna have to pin Chrome to the taskbar. It literally it pinned Chrome. Joe is in the chat room saying going back to sleep. Okay. Well, why did you wake up? I don't understand. It's a weird thing to say. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So it's enough talk about Microsoft Defender and the debacle that happened yesterday. And one of the things I was curious about is I don't even know if it was all Windows machines or if it was just certain. I guess it would be some certain that have ASR turned on, I guess. And like I said yesterday, the only reason I have Defender really activated is because for certain clients, I have to get onto a VPN. And VPNs have certain requirements, like the VPN software will literally check your computer to see what kind of antivirus software you have installed, and it'll see other things like how up to date is it, what options do you have turned on, and if you don't have certain options turned on, the VPN's not going to let you on the network. It's so stupid. It's really just so stupid and annoying. But if you want to make money, you got to do it. Alrighty, let's get started. So I was able to actually finally build. I have no idea what that was. I think my cat's going crazy. Or there was a serial killer in the house. Alrighty, so where are we? What was that? Wow, that was weird. So today, what we want to do is we want to actually, we want to make sure we can compile the library portion of what we're going to write, and we want to get started. We want to be able to have the Electron portion just kind of boot up at least. That's a good start. And since I don't really have any time constraints today. I mean, I do. I can't be on the computer all day. I do have stuff I want to get done outside. But normally I try to quit around 7 o'clock because then I will start my day job. But it's Saturday, so I don't have to do that. Do not have to do that today. All right, so we had a build folder, and so this is all fine and dandy. I am going to nuke it. I'm trying to remember what I had to do to get it to build and what I learned yesterday, because there's always a lesson to learn no matter what. All right, I didn't have to pass in the generator, which is good. I mean, it already sees it. So the generator is essentially, when you use CMake, you're telling CMake, okay, I want you to generate make files for this certain compiler. And make files make files is a group of files that tell a compiler how to build something. So you're essentially telling CMake how to generate the blueprints for your program. All right. See if I can build, or if I get I don't think I'll get the same problem, but I got to do this. Let's try that. All right, and you see it builds, and I'm just getting I'm getting plain old compiler errors, which is fine. These are errors, and I can tell you exactly what the error is just by looking at the error. I know it's just that I forgot to include a header. Yeah, because okay, so I put main down here. So I was actually making changes yesterday, trying to get this to work, trying to just making temporary changes in order to figure out like what's happening. So let's go, and we got to undo those changes. So we don't want it to be an executable. We actually want it to be a library. And actually, we don't want the source files to be in the main folder. So that's another thing. So you can see here, I copied the source files into the root folder, just trying to get something to work, just trying different ideas. Like this is like when you are experiencing problems and you don't know what the problem is, you want to narrow down. You want to try and just narrow things down to the simplest case, because the less variables you have, that's the less things the fewer things, the less things, not as many things can go wrong. And so if you narrow down your problem set, then you have a better chance at finding the problem. All right, so I need to make sure I still have the source files in my library folder, which I do, so I can nuke these. Bye-bye. Yes, move them to the recycling bin. Let's see. So that's good. This is okay. This is just the source files. Add library static. That's good. That's good. And okay. So that looks good. Let's try again. Okay, my class Electron CCPP. It's still using the old CMake. Oh, I didn't save. See this little black dot up here? That means I didn't save the file. So let me save the file and see if this works. All right, this looks better. This looks promising. And it built. You can see right here the output. And again, we're not building an executable program. On Windows, if I was building an executable program, the file name would end with .exe, meaning executable. Instead, it ends with .lib. This is a library file, and it's a static library file. Static means I can use it as part of my program. Actually, that's a terrible explanation. We'll get back to what a static library is later when we start talking more about using the library inside of Electron. But there's static and there's dynamic, and then I think there's something, I don't know. But static and dynamic are the two main types. Maybe there isn't a third type. Maybe I'm making that up. All right, so we got the library file. We got it building. I mean, that's what we wanted, right? So let's go ahead and build this. Push that in. So we're going to push the CMake file changes. We're just going to check those in to Git really quick. But wait, there's more changes I want to make because I deleted other files, but maybe I didn't push those in. Okay. All right. So this next step is where we're going to do a little exploration because I have only initialized an Electron application a couple of times. So we're going to do this together. I mean, this is going to be maybe the third or fourth time I've done it. So maybe you have never done it. So maybe it will be your first time. And that was not as dirty as it sounds, I promise. All right. Now we do have this quick start application. Let's look at that for a minute. We'll look at this. What else do we have? Quick start NPM. Maybe you could just do it right there. We'll look at this tutorial. I'm just going to load up a bunch of tutorials about how to get started with Electron. I don't need to know about getting. Well, let's maybe. Okay. Let's just look at them really quick. So this is a template. Now remember, we're writing a template. That part of what this project is a template in and of itself. It's a template of writing an Electron library with basically a C++ project and an Electron project kind of rolled into one. So this is just the Electron portion. And I can see that it has the main JS pack in this. Okay, quick start. Clone and run for a quick way to see Electron in action. This is a minimal Electron application based on the quick start guide. It's probably one of the links I already have up with the Electron documentation. A basic Electron application needs these files: package.json main and index preload. You can learn more about these. You can learn more about each of these components in depth within the tutorial. All right, and then this just tells you how to clone it and everything. So I think, and yes, that is, he's referring to the tutorial that I already loaded up. Here's a couple of other tutorials. This is just telling you how to clone the repo we just looked at. This is who uses Electron. I don't see anything special about this per se. We'll keep it up right now. For now, that is useless. npm install Realm. What is Realm? What is that library? That's probably something. This is on the Mongo website. Is that something to do with Mongo, allowing your Electron app to interact with Mongo? Open a Realm. Authenticate a user. Define a scheme. Sync enabled. Call Realm open. What is Realm? I mean, it sounds like a video game, right? Create React app. I mean, and eventually, so like, I would like to be able to have React and have, I would like the application to eventually have React and have Webpack. Those are the two things I would like to add, but I'm not going to commit to those right away. We're going to start with just the basics. All right. I don't know what that is. I don't know what a Realm is, but I want to, let's see. We'll add these as well. Electron app will use Webpack, and this will be version 1. This will be after version 1.0, and then Electron app will support React. And then another thing I want to do is C++ app will support Boost. All right, so I'm just kind of adding some notes to where we want to go with this application. I want the C++ portion to support Boost, and like Boost again is it's a very popular library for C++. And as I mentioned, features that want to get the people who are in control of C++, when they want to add features to the language itself, they will often test those features in Boost. So these features, they'll sit in Boost for sometimes years, and then once they're mature, and they fully understand the consequences of those changes, they will merge them into the language itself. Then we also have not WebPace, Webpack. An Electron app will support React. So Webpack, which Electron will use custom libraries via Webpack. What did I mean by that? Oh, okay. We'll use custom JavaScript libraries. So Webpack takes all of your, Webpack allows you to basically take all of your JavaScript files. You know, you might have them here and one over there and one over here, like in different folders. But when you're ready to deploy your website or your Electron app, Webpack takes all those different Java files and basically puts them into one big JavaScript file. And the reason you would want to do that is because that can often help performance. So it's a lot quicker if everything's in one file than to have things just distributed throughout the operating system. Though now that I think about it, there could be an argument made that maybe things aren't quicker if things might not necessarily be quicker if you're loading up a bunch of JavaScript in a large library file that's not getting used. What if you're just printing hello world? You don't need an entire JavaScript editor. So I'm not sure how that works, but anyway, I'm sure the people who wrote Webpack know what they're doing. Maybe. React is basically just a library that helps you to create web applications. In Electron, even though it is a desktop application, it is a web application in the front end. So you can kind of think of Electron as a desktop web application, or a library that allows you to write desktop web applications. All right. Perfect. Now I am out of soda, so I need to run downstairs really quick, which means is that operating? I have a transition screen for Be Right Back. I just want to make sure it actually is working. I don't know if it is studio mode. Okay, it looks like it is. I will be right back. Okay, alrighty. Here. Oh, excuse me. All right, I have a fresh soda. Still how weird to just pop in the room and say, I'm going back to sleep. Okay. It's weird people. Alrighty. So let's get started with activating the Electron portion of this application. And I'm really confused because my icons down here at the bottom, they're not Chrome anymore. They're just a document. It's so weird. Set up your application. Make a directory. My application. No, this is not the tutorial we want to use. We want to use this one. So basically, the first step is to make your folder, change into that folder, and do npm init. We know the folder we want to put our application in. It's going to be right here in the UI folder. And then we want to do npm init, which I guess is just going to set things up and it's going to ask me a bunch of questions. All right, npm, press Control C, package name, UI. No, that's not what I want to call it. I'm already quitting. Oh, wait a minute. No. This is not Kekbo. Okay, yeah, this is fine. I think UI is fine. Okay. I think UI is a perfectly fine name for the UI portion of this template, though that's going to be weird because then if you make the template and you want to change the UI, you know what? I don't care. We are going to call this, I don't like to start at 1.0 because 1.0 is your first release. I'm going to start at 0.0.1. Where did everything go? All right, there we go. All right, so here we go. We got a version, the description name, UI portion of Electron CPP. I always want to say CCP, like, like it's China. Entry point. I don't like index.js. I don't know why. I'm going to change it. This is purely a personal preference of mine. Captain Fandom Nerd says you were talking about Bird. He is weird. Yes. I don't know if Joe's weird as much as he's just stubborn. I met Joe back in... See, Joe's become kind of like internet famous a little bit. But I knew him before he was famous. I met him back in 2010, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And so I knew him when he was just, he was just another guy in bed all day, being lazy. All right, entry point, I'm changing this to main.js. I just don't like index.js. Test command, we have none right now. Get repository, that's none of your business right now. Keywords will be Electron, C++, we'll just keep it at that, Electron C++. Author would be me. I'll keep it blank for now. I want it to be the MIT license. I don't know what the ICS license is. I've never even heard of ICS. What is the ICS license? ICS software license. Let's see. Maybe it's better than MIT. I don't know. I just kind of do MIT by default. ICS license is a permissive free software license published by the blah, 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 now called blah, blah, blah. It is functionally equivalent to the BSD and MIT licenses, but without language deemed unnecessary. Okay. So what it's basically insulting the MIT license, saying, you know what, you're too verbose. You talk too much. ICS license, copyright year, owner, permission to use, satisfied, distribute the software is provided. Okay, we'll just go with ICS then. We'll just stick with the default. Is this okay? Yes. All right. So we have got the basics of the Node application up and running, but we don't have anything else. All right, if we follow the tutorial, we keep going, the interactive init command, and yes, entry point, okay. There are a few rules to follow for the purpose of this tutorial. Entry point should be main.js. That's me. Author and that's what I said. Author and description can be any value, but are necessary for app packaging. Oh, I did not know that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and fill those in. So author. I'm just going to use this. No, I'll use my name. That's fine. And the description. So author and description can be any value but are necessary for app packaging. Now, app packaging is probably Webpack. They're probably talking about like Webpack or just putting it together for, or maybe, oh, they're talking about distribution. Okay. So, okay, description. Did I do description? Description, UI portion of it. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, that's good. Now, install the Electron package into your app's dev dependencies. npm install save. Okay, we'll just copy this. And now this should do a bunch of stuff. This should download a bunch of files and install them and essentially get Electron. It's basically installing everything that Node needs to install Electron. So Node is, how can I explain what Node.js is? It's basically a JavaScript. I'm sure you've all heard of JavaScript. Node is essentially like, it's kind of like a JavaScript application that helps you write and run JavaScript applications. So that's a way of putting it. All right, so that is finished. If you're encouraging any issues, which I'm not, so I'm going to skip over that. Finally, you want to be able to execute Electron in the scripts field in your package. JS, add a start command like so. All right, so it's just Electron dot is all that is. Start Electron, boom. As you can see, GitHub Copilot completed that for me. It knew exactly what it got. GitHub Copilot is amazing. It really is. So GitHub Copilot, it's like when you're writing code, it's a predictive text helper, essentially. It knows what you want to write. It is so good. And it saves a lot of time, because if you're sitting there and you got to write something, you as a programmer, you often write not the same thing, but you often write different structures over and over, or same structures over and over and over, like if this, then this, if this, then this. And GitHub Copilot, man, it is so good at predicting what you want to write. It is amazing. And my eyes are really scratchy. I don't know why. There we go. Okay. So now if I do npm start, it is going to give me an error. Let's test that. So slow. And this is where you get into the Windows thing. This is where it's all on Windows. This is so slow. It is. I will go to my grave saying the reason this is so slow is because it's Windows. And it took me that was like a good 20 seconds just to get this error. And so remember, we defined the entry point as main.js, but we haven't created the main.js file yet. So that's why it's bitching. It's complaining that whoa, hey, bro, give me a main.js file. Cannot find module block. Please verify that the package thing. Okay, so it's just we know what's going on there. The entry point to any Electron application is the main script. This script controls the main process, which runs. I don't feel like reading all of that during execution. Just tell me what to do. All right. Before we can create a window for our application, we need to create the content that will be loaded into it. In Electron, each window display. Yes. Okay. So this, create an index folder in the root of your project. So we will copy this. Put that there. All right. This is. There's fine. There's nothing special about that. And this will be index.html. I know where this is going. I've seen this movie before. I know how it ends. But we will go. I will take this journey with you. Looking at the HTML document, you can observe that the version numbers are missing from the body text. We'll manually insert them later using JavaScript. Okay, so it's saying you are using Node, Chromium, Electron. Okay, I get it. Opening your web page in your browser, blah, blah, I don't want to do that. Now that you have a web page, load it into an application window. To do so, you will need to Electron modules. The app module, which controls your application's lifecycle. I have no patience. Especially at 6 o'clock in the morning. I just don't have patience to just read through all of this. I just want to know what to type. I mean, I kind of know already what to type. I just don't have the patience. Okay, because of the main process run that you can import. Okay, why doesn't it tell me what file to create? There we go. This is what I want. The full code below. All right, main.js. Is that going to be in the... To initialize the main script, create an empty main.js. During execution, we'll look in the main folders. To initialize the main script, create an empty file named main.js in the root folder of your project. Note, if you run the script again, your app will no longer. However, it won't do anything yet because we haven't ended any code. Okay. So create an empty file in the root folder called main.js. Got it. I already know what goes in it, but I'm gonna try and follow the tutorial as well as I can. Create a, oh, I skipped that step. See, I can't follow tutorials really well. I just can't. Because the main process runs Node.js, the import all the common CS modules, blah, blah, blah. Got it. All right. Skipping down to where I don't want all this explanation. I just want this. This is what I want. This is what Daddy came for. Oh, yeah. Oh, paste. There we go. Did I paste it? Let's make sure I didn't paste it twice. Okay. All right. So, again, this is just boilerplate. And then there are two other files. Here's the index.html file, and then that I already created, and then this is a preload. Now I will go and I will just do this, and I will give you my explanation of how things work, and that will help me solidify my understanding of what's going on. Let me make sure this is gonna, okay, preload index.html. Okay. Let's see what happens if we try to start it up. I'm hoping that the window starts up and it shows like a nice pretty like you're using version this, you're using version this. Let's see what happens. Of course, we have to wait an hour and a half because again, it's Windows. All right, so we have a window this time, and we have a poor. Oh wow, that was that. Whoa. Wow, that was so slow. That was so slow. God. All right. I'll try to stop harping on that. But anyway, but we can see that it's loading up the window. It's saying what version of Node we're using, what version of Chromium we're using, what version of Electron we're using. Let's talk about each of those one at a time. Node.js. That is the JavaScript Node version, or the JavaScript. I don't want to say framework. It's the JavaScript loader, or we'll just call it a framework. It's what allows you to create. It's the JavaScript interpreter essentially. It allows you to create JavaScript applications. It allows you to run JavaScript applications. So if you go to a website that's running Node, what happens is the web server calls Node.js and it says, "Hey, somebody's come to the website, do your thing." And then Node.js is like, "Whoa, this is my time to shine." And then it loads up all the HTML and JavaScript files and interacts with the users. That's what Node.js is. It's kind of the web server. Chromium. Chromium is the visual part of a web browser. So when you are looking at a web page, let's go look at a web page. This visual part that's inside here, something has to, this is a bad example just because it's going to be confusing. Let's look at this. I can go and I can look at the source code for this web page, right? This is just all JavaScript, HTML madness going on in here. It doesn't look very friendly. If I go to something like my website, my message board, for example, it's this is a little easier to read, but it's the same thing. It's just HTML and JavaScript. So something has to take this HTML and JavaScript and turn it into something that looks like this, that looks like an actual web page. And that's what Chromium is. Chromium takes the JavaScript and HTML and it works. I'm not going to bother talking about it too much, but it takes all that code and turns it into the visuals things that you see. It loads images up and paints them onto the screen. It takes this text and says, "Oh, I should paint this text blue." And when they hover the mouse over it, I should draw a line underneath of it. That's what Chromium is. Chromium is the visual front end of the browser, essentially. And then, of course, Electron is the portion that allows Chromium and Node.js to run inside of what we would call a desktop application. And so you have this, and you see how this, it doesn't really look like Chrome or like, a text editor. It just kind of looks like, it looks like a regular application. And that's because of the Electron portion. So that's what these three things are. So this simple little program that we have written just tells me Okay, yeah, it just tells you what version of each of those things because you need all three of those things in order to write an Electron app. You need Electron itself, you need Chromium to do the front end, and you need Node.js to do the bootstrapping. That's the word I was looking for, to do the bootstrapping of the JavaScript. So now what? All right. So first, now what we can do is we will check that source code in. Let me bring up source tree really quick. Nothing's really quick on this computer. I think what I'm going to do, let me do this real quick. I am leaving on Monday, and I think when I get back from my trip, now I'll be gone for 3 weeks, and I probably will be doing live streams because I'll be traveling by myself, and I tend to get bored and lonely when I travel by myself. I will be traveling. I'll be gone. I'll be in Greenland, and I'll be in northern Greenland. I'm going to the capital for a few days, and then I'm going up to another town called Ilulissat, where let's check out the temperature in Ilulissat right now. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but Ilulissat weather right now, it is 4 degrees Fahrenheit. And it looks like when I am there next Saturday, it is going to be very cold with a high temperature of only 9 below zero. So that's pretty awesome. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I'll be in Ilulissat for a couple of days, and then I'm going to another town called Qaanaaq. I don't know how to pronounce it. Qaanaaq, which is way up in northern Greenland, and that is going to be pretty awesome too because the high temperature is only going to be 20 below. And this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for super cold weather, and looks like I'm going to get it. I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty excited. I'm kind of regretting not going somewhere new because I was in Greenland in 2021, but I only went to the capital. But I was thinking about going to Iqaluit, which is in northern Canada, and it looks like it's going to get cold there too. The problem with going to Iqaluit, though, is that there weren't a lot of options to go anywhere other than Iqaluit. Like I was thinking of maybe, okay, well, if I go to Iqaluit, I can go to Yellowknife, which is in the Yukon Territory, where it would also. Oh wow, looks like it's got warmer. I was also thinking going to Whitehorse. Oh, wow, that's really warm. But it would have been a disappointment, or not a disappointment. It would have been difficult because it's really expensive. Air Canada is really expensive to go from like Iqaluit to Yellowknife. It's like $3,000. Now, mind you, going from... Let's look at a map really quick. I know, we're just going all over the place. This is how my mind works when I'm working. Like, oh, all right, I got a program. Well, wait, what's the weather here? Oh, well, let me look at a map. So if we look at this on a map, so you can see some places I've already marked, but I'm going to Nuuk in Canada, and that's kind of in the southern part of Canada, or no, Canada, in the southern part of Greenland, and then I'm going to go up here to Ilulissat. And Ilulissat's probably, it's still, I would still consider it. All right, let's look at, I don't want to use maps because it does that like, that Cartesian map that just kind of makes everything bigger. Let's look at an actual proper 3D map. Here we go. Okay. But now I can't find anything. So here's Ilulissat, which I would say is still, it's about halfway up. It's a little less than halfway up, but it's still about halfway up. But it is above the Arctic Circle, which is pretty cool. I haven't been above the Arctic Circle since last year, I think. So we made it there. So I'm going to make it to Ilulissat, and then the big adventure is, well, I have to make a stop in these names are impossible. No, sorry, I'm thinking Kangerlussuaq. I have to make a stop in Upernavik, and then up to Qaanaaq, way up top, Qaanaaq. And if you zoom in on this little town, it's not much of a little city. I mean, it's not even. I mean, I had to call the hotel owner and make a reservation because they don't have a website. I mean, they do have. They have like, "Hi, welcome to the Qaanaaq Hotel," and that's the whole website. It's not like you can book a room online. And then I had to make sure that there was a taxi. That there's some kind of taxi service from the airport. The hotel owner said they would pick me up. which is kind of terrifying, relying on other people like that. But I'm hoping that like people at the airport, if it's 30 below, I'm hoping that people at the airport are going to be kind enough to be like, well, we're not going to leave you out stranded in the 30 below temperature. Worst case scenario, I can sleep on a cot at the airport if the, or I'm sure somebody would give me a ride or something. But there's not a lot to do here. I'm only going to be there for 3-4 days. I'm not going to be there very long. So it should be a good trip. And I will be doing, like I said, I will get bored and I probably will do live streams from there. So how did I get started on this tangent? I don't even remember. Oh, yes. So what I'm saying is so I leave on Monday. When I get back from Greenland in 3 weeks, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this setup I have now to do these live streams. I'm going to start using my Mac. I'm going to use my Mac because this Windows machine, I will feel bad for it, but it's okay. Maybe I can set it up. I have a couple of machines behind me that I use to be able so that I can SSH into them or I can remote desktop into them. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. So it's sad. I start to feel a little sad. Not really. It's just so slow. All right, let's check our code in. All right, so we got the README file that we definitely do have to check in. And then we have, so I don't know. All right, let me check out. Check in preload main.js index HTML. I'm just going to check into things that I definitely know I want to check in. So things like under node modules, I'm pretty sure I do not want to check in. Let me see. I'm pretty sure that how to use node modules. Let's see, source control. Should I check in the folder node modules? I'm pretty sure no, but I want to check, see what the internet says. The FAQ is not available from the documentation. If you wish to lock down specific bytes included in the package, for example, to have 100% confidence in being able to reproduce a deployment or build, then you ought to check your dependencies in the source control or pursue some other mechanism that can verify contents rather than versions. Okay, the source listed below has been updated. They are no longer recommending that node modules folder be committed. That's what I thought. I'm going to go with no. So we'll ignore this. No, not everything. No. Everything beneath node modules we'll ignore. And then package lock. Let's see. Yes, package lock JSON is intended to be checked into source control. If you're using NPM 5+, you may see this. Okay, so let's check. Okay, so all these files can be ignored, or not ignored. They can be checked into source control. All right. So now remember, we checked in a bunch of stuff yesterday. So it looks like that we haven't checked anything in, but that's not true. Although it does beg the question, where are the C++ changes? Did I don't think I committed those. I think I just checked those in, right? Yeah, there's changes. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, no. Oh, okay. It's just synced up. All right, maybe I did check them in. Checking in Electron base app. All right, and we'll push this to master. All right, we're looking good. We are looking good. Compiling the lib, I did check that in. Got it, good. All right. This is starting to make it. So what do we do next? That is a good question. So I think the next thing to do, we have this little class here, right? It's called my class. It's so cute. And so the purpose of this is, and I'll just do a little pseudocode down here. You would use this by instantiating it with a variable. We'll just call the variable x, right? Oh, no, it has a default constructor. Bob. Got it. And then where is my class.h? Oh, no, I want my class.cpp. There we go. Append it. All right. So what you would do is you would just create an object like this, an object called X. You initialize it with the text Bob, and then you would do we'll do this right here. So again, look at Copilot, just completing that code for me. So you print it, output, append it, Smith, and so what this is going to do, this is actually going to prints Bob Smith. All right, just prints it out. That's what the class does. So I think what would make sense to do then is have it where we had all that hello world stuff. Remember that? Let me show you really quick again. Nothing's going to be really quick on Windows though. I don't know what this pass through is not support GL is disabled angle is. I don't know what that means. So I hope everybody's doing okay. Hope everybody's got big plans for the weekend. It's a 3-day weekend for a lot of people. It is a 3-day weekend for me. It's actually a 4-day weekend for me since I'm traveling since I leave Monday night and then I arrive in Greenland Tuesday morning. I took Tuesday off. And then the people, so not only did the hotel offer to pick me up in Canuck, the Airbnb where I'm staying in Nook, I was talking to the Airbnb people, and because I was trying to get a sense of where the house is, because I'm not going to have a car while I'm in Nook, and I'm familiar with Nook. I've been there before, and it's January, and it's going to be cold. So I wanted someplace that was near the grocery stores, because there actually is a little downtown area of Nook. It's so cute. It has like 3 stores and a hotel and a couple restaurants. It's the cutest little area I've ever seen. But so I wanted something that was near there, so because I wanted to be able to walk to the grocery stores to get some groceries and then walk home, and I didn't want to have to walk a mile or two, and when it's 15 below zero. So I was talking to the Airbnb owner because Airbnb's policy, I understand it. I don't know the solution, but I hate it. So Airbnb, they typically will not give you the exact address of a home until after you've booked it, which creates problems because it'll give you the area. It'll give you the general area. But sometimes that's not enough, because if I'm trying to book a house or a place that is at most 2 or 3 blocks from a grocery store, how am I going to do that if I don't know the exact address? So oftentimes what I have to do is I have to email the owner before I book the place. And I have to ask them and tell them, like, look, I'm not going to have a car. I'm going to want to be able to walk to the grocery store. Can you send me the exact address of your home? So that's what I did to these people who own this house in Nook. Actually, let me load up the house because it looks kind of nice. And actually, I need to refresh myself about it. So I emailed them and I asked them. I said, hey, can you tell me the exact location? And they were kind enough to tell me the exact location. And it looks like a pretty nice place. But the thing is when I was talking to them, they actually offered to pick me up at the airport. And I was like, being from the East Coast of America, when somebody is just kind of generous out the bat like that, my first reaction is to be suspicious. It's like, what do you want? Like, why are you doing this? What do you intend to get from me? Like, there's a lot of suspicion there, but I think they're just being genuine people. I just think they're just being nice. All right, let me look. I'm trying to find the listing because I want to look at the house. I want to look at it with some detail. All right, let's see. So this is where I'm going to be staying in Nook. See, it's got a big TV. It's got a nice couch. I don't think it's going to have much of a view. The place I stayed at the year before last year when I went, had a beautiful view. Beautiful view. It had, the upside was that it had a beautiful view because it looked over this like inlet or this bay You know, Nook is kind of on a peninsula, so you have water on either side of the land. And so where I was staying was like right along this bay in this beautifully quiet neighborhood. But you just sit there, and there would just be like these huge icebergs just floating by in the water, like, and you're like, oh yeah, oh, look, there goes an iceberg. But and the house was nice, but it didn't have a couch, which I didn't like. It had a nice TV. This place looks like it has a nice TV. Like that does look. And I asked if it was a smart TV because I've done enough traveling where, you know, like I know what I want from a house and I know what to ask for. And if the TV is not a smart TV, then I will usually take a little Roku with me just so I can like watch YouTube and stuff on the TV. But they said it has YouTube, it has Netflix and all that. So this looks like a nice setup. I like, you know, I look at these pictures and I'm like, okay, I can see myself sitting in that corner. There's the TV. I put my laptop there, my soda there. Okay, I'll be okay. And here's a nice little table for that's probably where I will work. There's the house. Oh, okay. I guess they did kind of include the map or the address. Looks like a nice kitchen. I mean, maybe the view's not that bad. There's the bed. Looks fine. Looks like a standard, you know, bedroom, whatever. But the living room looks really nice. It looks like it has everything you need, really. And then let's look really quick at the location. And I'll talk a little bit about Nook and what little I know of it. So, it's right here on this, which in Inspector Circle, I think, Inspector Rubaken. But you know, the way that the Danish pronounce things is really weird. Like, okay, like this right here, Brogsony, but you know how they actually pronounce it? Brunian, something like that. But it looks like Brogsony. No, it's Brunian. I don't know. So, Brogsony actually is the grocery store. I'm in Inspector Circle, so this is actually a relatively short walk from about right here, near the Lulu hairdresser, right down to the Brogsony. And then there's another grocery store here, and then there's a bunch of restaurants and bars and stuff like that. There's a bar called Daddy's, which I thought was funny. And I actually went there a couple times. It's actually a pretty decent bar, so I'll probably be spending some time there. Brogsny. And then if I go look in Ilulissat, this is why I never get any work done, because I'm so scatterbrained. I'm just all over the place. Ilulissat, I'm staying here at the Hotel Isefjord. Since it's only for a couple of nights, 2-3 nights, I decided I will generally go with a hotel if it's only a couple of nights. If it's going to be anything longer, like a week, then I'll go with an Airbnb. So the Hotel Isefjord, which supposedly has beautiful views. And I know that this water, at this time of year, this water is frozen over. This water here, which is what is it? Is it going to tell me the name of the water? Is it just the Atlantic Ocean? All right, it's not going to tell me the name of the water, but I know that that's just frozen over this time of year. So it's just going to be white. And then once again, up in Thule or Qaanaaq, this water will definitely be frozen over, but it's also going to be pretty much dark the entire time I'm there. There will be twilight, of course, but I'm staying at the hotel, which is near the supermarket, I thought. Maybe the hotel doesn't exist. I'm actually pretty nervous about my trip to Qaanaaq because I could be just spending I'm not leaving the airport. I mean, it's going to be 30 below. I'm not leaving the airport. I mean, I'll leave the airport if I have a place to go, but if I don't have a place to go, I'm not leaving the airport. I don't think that they would let me. I don't think they would be like, oh, sorry, man, you got to sleep outside. I don't think they would do that. I mean, I think absolute worst case scenario, I could just go to the police station and they would be like, they might put me in jail, but at least I'd be warm. Yeah, so this is all going to be frozen. All of these icebergs, there's some mountains in the background, but you can see there's lots of icebergs in the water too. All going to be completely frozen solid. And it's going to be the same case down in Ilulissat. If we go back there really quick. Ilulissat, Liludales. So if I go here, for example, Okay, can't really see anything there. Come on. But yeah, you can see there's going to just be icebergs in the water. But again, this is all going to be frozen solid this time of year. Frozen solid. So that's where I'll be staying. The whole point of all of that, again, stay on track, Addy, is when I get back from this trip, I will set up my Mac. But that's not what I was talking about. I'm literally just, I don't know what I was talking about. Okay. The point of this Electron app, I think a good starting point would be to have these functions here to be able to call my class appended and then have the results printed onto this screen here. So maybe even a little dialog or a little input box that says type in your name, and I can type in Frank and then click a button, and then it would say hi to Frank Smith, because that's all this class does. It's just append to, all it does is append two strings. And of course, you can do that in JavaScript, but the whole point of this template is to be able to call a C++ function that does it for you. So what is the next step? I want to be able to do Webpack. I want to be able to do, well, let's look at our goals. Build a static library from C++. We have actually done that. That is done. C++ app will support Boost. Now, this is an interesting one because we could just knock that out of the, now that I have the problems fixed, we could knock that out of the park in 15 minutes. Let's do that. And I'm going to show you how. So if you remember, I originally had it set up to do that. So if I look at the initial commit, or not the initial, let's see, update the read. Here, I had a bunch of code in here that did this already. So all we got to do is copy it, put it back in. That looks good. All right, so let's go back. We got to go back to our build folder. Oops. Can't type. And then let's build. And this should redo the make files to include Boost. And there it is. I can see it. Yep, it's doing its Boost stuff. Now this was yesterday. I remember yesterday we were having problems with Boost because we couldn't build the zlib library. But I think those problems were probably related to the ASR rules that we talked about earlier. So hopefully that's fixed. No, I can't say it looks fixed. It just said, let's see, installing, downloading binaries. zlib generator, calling created preset. If your CMake is not compiled, aggregating, calling build. Okay, it looks like it built. It looks like it built just fine. And if I keep coming down here, installing build, it's still doing its thing. Let it do its thing for a couple of minutes. There we go. All right, it is successful. So now what we could do is let's use an actual Boost function to make sure we're actually using Boost in our class. Does that make sense? So Boost is a library, and I have now in the project, I've said, okay, project, I want you to include this Boost library and library. And the project has said, okay, I've included it. Boost is included. But the whole point of a library is to be able to use the library. So now, library, the more I say that, the more the word just sounds awful. Library. The whole point of including a library is to use the library, right? So let's do that. What do I want to use? I'm trying to think. I mean, I've used Boost for years. We could use the format. I guess we could use the Boost format library. Boost. Is it format? I think that's right. Is that it? Let's look up some Boost format examples. So the format library, God, I can't. The format. I need another word for library, because I've said it 100 times now. I can't say it. Library synonym. Biblioteca. Okay, I'm just going to talk in Spanish. Okay. La biblioteca formata necesitamos asegurar que es incluyendo en nuestra framework. So we need to make sure that the format biblioteca, I'm just going to use the word biblioteca. We need to make sure that the Boost biblioteca is included in a way that we can actually use it in our source code. This red squiggly here doesn't give me a lot of confidence that it is, but then again, I'm not sure that I'm including the right folder. So what I want to do is I want to look at Boost format examples. So the format biblioteca. Okay, a few Boost format examples. This is perfect. Okay, so I am including the correct header, include Boost format. This is really bad. If you're programming C++, you never, I can forgive you for using the Boost namespace, but honestly, I probably wouldn't. And the standard namespace, I definitely would not. Like if I saw this code in a code review, if I was reviewing this code, I would reject this code because it's using the namespace. Using namespace std and using namespace boost, I would probably reject them. The only time it is acceptable, and actually I don't even know if it's acceptable then. The only time I would allow using namespace boost is if you were using it inside of a function. But you can see here, this is actually in the global scope, and I would no, I would reject that. Okay, format. I usually use boost to append. Okay, there we go. This is what I wanted. Okay. So we can have another function here. Whoops. And we'll call it, what will we call it? We'll call it add and we'll just call it add text. And what this will do, this will take two integers, x and y. It will simply, it's going to be very verbose. So let's take this. We don't need it in the header. So something like this is fine. Look at Copilot just pointing that string for me, just completely returning it. Let's see. Text. Text. No, it's not correctly. It's not entirely correct, but it's close. Adding plus equals plus. All right, so this function, I'll explain it in a minute. With x, and then, God damn it, where's the percent? Y. X plus y. That should be good. So this function, what you're going to do is you would pass it two numbers like 1 and 3, 1 and 2, and then it will print out something like adding 1 plus 2 equals 3. So that's all it's going to do. It's a very simple function. Let's make sure, without including the Boost library, let's make sure it compiles as is. And we can do that by coming here and doing this. Make sure I didn't have a typo or something there. Oh, yeah. Okay, because it's telling me, all right, so this is good. It's just telling me it can't find Boost format. Let's see what happens if I just include it. I suspect it's not going. It worked. It worked. It worked on the first try. That's amazing. All right, so we can be sure. Oh, we can't be sure because we haven't tested anything. But look, it's not giving me a compiler error, so it knows where the boost format library is. It's able to find the function format, and it's able to. It knows what to do. So that's good. All right, so let's check that into our source code. So all we did was we just added the requirement for boost 1.81. We can update our README file with another check here. We can check that in this. We can just revert. We can add all that in. I don't like using my full name. I'm going to do this. I mean, everybody knows my full name as it is, but I prefer just using Addy. And it's not going to change that right away, but okay. Right. Edit boost. Sweet. Making great progress today. Actually, did some programming. I mean, it only took an hour and a half, but we did a little bit. All right, what next? Using the static library in an Electron app, building an executable file from the Electron app, building an installer install. What's that? I'm just going to put this as building an installer. Everything built with CMake commands. Electron app will use custom JavaScript libraries via Webpack. Oh, I have two. These are the same things, so I can just delete this. Actually, I'm going to delete this one. Electron app will use custom JavaScript libraries via Webpack, and we'll just do 1.0 plus. Electron app will support React. Or will use. All right, this is good. This is good. We've got two bullet points checked out. Let's just check in these changes real quick, just for posterity. I hear my wife talking to the cats. Well, probably to the dog and the cats. It's pretty cute. It's actually pretty adorable. She just sits there and she just talks to them. It's so cute. Okay. I just want to check I want to see what I just want to look at the README on GitHub, because sometimes if you look at something online, it's just easier. You see it differently, so you can see mistakes. Okay, so we have the first two checked. Now, these were not written in these bullet points weren't necessarily written in order that we would tackle them. But I don't see any reason to not tackle this third one, using that static library in an Electron app. Okay. Now, I did this long before, but and this is what I want to use, Nappy. Electron app with C++ backend as native add-on Nappy. All right. Native add-on will be made with Nappy and CMake. Nappy makes it independent of node version, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What is this? What is this? What is Nappy? Get a quick Electron app. We've done that. Make a native add-on with C++. All right. Create web workers with calls. Okay. Install Electron. Clone Electron. Open main. Looks like a lot of this is done. We've already done a lot of this. See, if you have C++ code, you want to use that code, use the below article to make a native add-on .node file, which is pretty lengthy and requires its own article. So I wrote one. For the sake of a tutorial repository, a basic C++ native add-on, we're going to use it. Clone. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at what this is. Code repository for tutorial of C++ native add-on independent of Node.js version. So this is, okay, so this is the native okay, I can see the native, I'm sorry, I can see the Electron code here, like this index.js, this package JSON file. That's indicative of an Electron application. And if I look at this package.js, I'm sure, yes, so the commands here, like install cmake.js compile. What is cmake.js compile? That's interesting. What is cmake.js? It's a node component. Interesting. No, not KJS. Okay. CMake.js is a Node.js native add-on build tool which works almost exactly like Node.gip, which I have no idea what that is. Node.js sent CMake.js. If you use Node API for your module instead of NAN, all right, so I'm just trying to read, just trying to get an idea what this is. I think it looks like what this is a way. So I think this does the opposite of what I want to do, or not the opposite, maybe the inverse of what I want to do. And maybe this is the better way to do it. So let me explain. When I was running the Electron portion of this app, I would come in here and I would type npm start, right? Oh, excuse me. Actually, I need to think this through more because my initial thoughts are incorrect. So I would type npm start, and then it would start the project. And you can see how slow it is. What I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to come over to the build folder. I wanted to be able to do cmake build. And what it would do is it would build the C++ portion. Why is it giving me? I probably typed in some junk code. Whoa, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. All right, that should be fine. So I typed in C. So what I wanted to be able to do is I wanted to be able to type in cmake. I wanted to be able to build it like this, and this is building the C++ portion. What I wanted it to do is I wanted it to build not just C++ portion, I wanted it to build the Electron portion as well, and then build the exe file, which is the executable file, and then I wanted to be able to run it from that. But it looks like what this library does is kind of the inverse, the contrapositive, I don't know what you would call it. It looks like what this does is I would be able to do npm build, or maybe npm npm. It looks like I would be able to do like npm. Basically, what it looks like I'd be able to do is I would be able to do something like npm, I don't know, build. And then it would build the C++ version and then load up Electron. Which might be a better way to do it. I honestly don't know. So instead of having npm, so what I wanted was I wanted CMake to do all the work, including building the Electron portion. But what this is doing is it's having the Electron portion do all the work, including building the C++ version. So, and actually now that I think about it more, maybe this way makes more sense. Since the library is a dependency because Electron is dependent on the C++ library. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to have the C++ library building itself and the thing that depends on it. Generally, what you want is you want to have the thing built, the thing that has dependencies, you want that to build its dependencies and then itself. And I think that makes more sense. And so that would actually change one of our goals. I think, yeah, that makes more sense to have the Electron app build itself and its dependencies. So where was it? Okay, everything built with CMake commands. No, this is going to change. So everything built with npm commands. CMake. All right, and CMake.js is what that was, and that's exactly what CMake.js is that it allows you to call CMake commands from within your node infrastructure. Okay, that makes sense. All right, well, I think that is enough of streaming for today. I'm actually getting pretty tired, and I'm going to go... okay, I see why that happened. I want to go... I'm going to go say good morning to my wife. When I woke up, she was still asleep, and like I said, I can hear her talking to the cat and to the dog, and it's pretty adorable. So, will I be back tomorrow? Maybe. Will I be back later today? Maybe. I don't know. I have been scheduling. I've been using YouTube scheduling feature, so you can actually schedule streams. So I will, if I schedule a stream, then I will be back. So you can always check that. Just check to see if I have scheduled a stream, and if I have, then you can expect to see me when that stream is scheduled to start. In the meantime, be sure to click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you again real soon. All right. Bye, everybody.